You're watching Taste the Victory.
Well guys, we have 2 weeks of official Bandai online TCG tournaments now, encompassing 3 sold out 500-person events because 2 took place on the same day. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what we can decipher from our current meta. So there were a couple of regional level events before this already, like Gen Con in person and a few other in-person regionals. So the winners, the big takeaways I think people already know from that, because like people have talked about a lot, was a D-Reaper won that and Alphamon won 2 other ones. So D-Reaper is a very surprise hit. I know D-Reaper won a second event. So D-Reaper has actually gotten like 2 wins now, and Alphamon I believe has 2 even before this one for huge person regionals. So let's go ahead and look at the official webcam ones that Bandai has over the couple of weekends now and see what data that adds to the knowledge we have so far. First up is Top Cut, which took place 2 weeks ago now. On the same day as this one, Karta Mahika took place, so we'll go ahead and take a look at that as well. And then after that, we'll look at the latest one, which was Core Regional. So first up here in Top Cut, we see a pie chart. This is provided, of course, by Top Cut themselves and Eggman, who works with them. So very appreciative of them for doing all that for the community. That's awesome. So let's see the pie chart right away to get a glance of what we're looking at. We see a big representation from MetalGarurumon, Gaiomon, and Alphamon, and then a lot of good, healthy representation from everything else. So at a quick glance, we have pretty diverse meta considering what topped in the previous offline in-person events as well. So BT9 is very diverse so far. It's what it feels like, which is great to see always. So we see that MetalGarurumon X had the most representation in terms of top cut of top 16 in the top cut event, which took place 2 weeks ago. First place, however, was Alphamon. Alphamon ended up taking the first place prize, which was Paul. Alphamon here, we see this deck list here provided by DigimonCard.io. We see the choices pretty standard overall. This is pretty much the ideal list, if not for this Ogremon. This Ogremon is a very surprise addition, and I think probably one of the more spicier ones. So I would be really interested. I don't know if there's a deck profile on YouTube for this. If anyone can let me know, I'd be interested in hearing the logic behind Ogremon, because I know a couple of other lists have been running it now, but typically you don't see this, and I'd be very curious to see exactly what the logic is there. Other than that, yeah, pretty good ratios. We got 3 Alphamon, 4 Oryumon, 3 Oryukin, and you want to have the split of Breath of the Gods and Congo, so you have an answer to basically everything that could try to remove you one way or another, and to get an extra turn, because, or rather, it also stops 7 cost Digimon from attacking for that turn, in addition to stopping your opponent from recovering. So a lot of really good choices here. 4 Cool Boy makes sense because literally everything in your deck is an X antibody, so you'll not only be always hitting it more or less, you'll also be getting the extra memory and draw quite often, so that's very amazing. Congratulations to them. After that, we have Quan Li with Gaiomon. Gaiomon took 2nd place. So this is a deck a lot of people were really not thinking too hard about. They really wrote it off and people were underestimating it. But here we see at the first big 500-person online regional, we have it taking 2nd place, which is amazing. So if you look at it, it's more or less kind of feels like a War Greymon X bottom end coming up to Gaiomon. Yeah, we have the cheap Digivolution Greymon, we have Black War Greymon and Gaiomon top end. Black War Greymon helps take care of those pesky tamers, and then Gaiomon gives you so much more aggro by being able to have naturally security attack +1, being able to blitz on Digivolution, so you're not as worried about your crazy high 5 memory Digivolution cost. 4 Cool Boy, again, because it's such a powerful card to get that free Digivolution and draw, and it only costs 2 memory to slam, so it's really efficient searcher as well. And the 1 of Congo, that's really interesting there. I don't think a lot of people have been putting that in their Black War Greymon / Gaiomon list. That is really interesting, but it makes sense because you are able to cast it at your top end, and it can potentially starve off lethal, so I do like that a lot. Very cool to see that. After that, we see a bunch of MetalGarurumon starting to pop up. We got 3rd and 4th place being taken up by Machi and Thomas in the MetalGarurumon, so I would definitely be interested in seeing these top 8 lists. What are the differences between them? Like how much of that was like red top versus, or rather red package versus pure blue? So we see the 4th place list here did have a, not necessarily a red package at all actually. So we have the bottom end, we have that Gabumon from X1 that searches other Gabus. That's really interesting to refuel your rookie count so you can build a 2nd stack right away. We have the 3 of Cool Boys, not as many as Gaiomon and Alphamon because like you don't have as many targets. Then you have the 3-2 split, which used to be really popular. It's kind of standardizing that. And the spicy tech, of course, is offensive plugin A, which gives you security tech +1 as long as you have a tamer on the field, so you don't really need to meet its color requirement. So that does help you aggro a lot more, and as only as a 1-of, I really like that as a spicy 1-of. Then after that, we do have another pure blue build, which is topping. So it seems like a lot of people, including myself, at the beginning of the meta were running the red package, but this deck is just so fast and aggressive when you go pure blue because you have so much more dig, you have so much more ways to push your aggression with like room for hammer sparks and stuff, that you kind of just brute force your way through any security bombs. You know, I'll just build a 2nd stack, whatever. So we see that here with the pure blue stack. We have 1 Sagittarius mode to be able to get similar effects off of the War Greymon X. or rather the Garurumon X. We have one hybrid to get that lethal for game off of Davis, I'm assuming, because sometimes you are just that one shot off from lethal. So pretty cool, two very nice lists here we're seeing, both of them topping without the red package, which is really interesting to see. We do see Armor Rush squeaking in at 5th place here for top 8, which is amazing. Take a quick look at it. It looks about as standard as armors can get. You have the one Globomon there, you have the 2 Chimeras to be able to push for that extra bit of damage. So yeah, very nice, cool list here. Congratulations to Mr. Bill. And then we have Alphamon squeaking in again at 6th. D-Reaper comes in at 7th place, and we do have a second one over there at 12th. We have D-Brigade. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at D-Reaper, and then we'll take at the other D-based deck, D-Brigade. So we got D-Reaper here. We see the list here. We got a lot of similar build to the one that topped first in Gen Con, kind of starting the trend of people wanting to look at D-Reaper and play it around. But here we see a difference is we do run more of Creepy Hands, which is the blocker, and then we also have one Horn Striker, which has Rush, which helps you close out game again if you just need that one extra attack and can afford to hard slam it. 3 Death-X-Mons, the ones that topped at the Gen Con regionals was only 2, and then 3 of the X Antibody option, because the X Antibody option lets you put it underneath Mother to get one source faster to help reduce your on-play cost faster. It doesn't count towards Reaper's effect, unfortunately, but you don't mind that because you have more sources underneath Mother D-Reaper, which means reducing cost of your other cards faster, which helps this deck be a lot more efficient. This is purely white too, which is a really interesting thing. We don't see any Starmon here like in the other list, which I think is a really good addition to the deck. It helps get rid of things more easily since you usually have a pretty wide board, and then also you get DP minus something into Pallades' head range to delete it. So I really do like the addition of Starmon, but I totally see why you would just want to be like efficient and cut it out entirely as well. After that, let's go ahead and take a look at the D-Brigade list. And that is going to be here. This was, I believe, from Charles Box. Congratulations, Mr. Box. And they have D-Brigade. This was coming in exactly at 11th. So nice high placement within top 16. We have the 4 eggs here, mainly the Pagumon, because on deletion, he helps you search more, and you're going to be doing a lot of self-deleting by just ramming into security. We have 4 Nanimon, which is really cool because it's basically a security bomb, and it looks like this deck loaded up on a lot of those. You have Ultimate Flare, which really messes up the top decks in this format by de-digivolving them a lot. Sometimes that can be bad because you can put them into a potential second restand or into one of their better megas in case of Alphamon, but you get, because of the wording, this says trash up to, you are able to choose, this is like confirmed ruling, that you can choose how much you want to de-digivolve it, so you could just choose as many that would not put you in a disadvantageous space while still putting your opponent back. So it's a really good option into this meta in security. Nanimon plays himself for free out of security, it's a security Digimon, and even if you see him in your hand, he's only a hard cost 3 to hard slam champion, so that's pretty great. We have Izzy, we have Kazu. They're really awesome memory tamers. Izzy is a memory tamer rather, and Kazu synergizes with all the cyborgs and stuff in your deck, so that gives you that +1 memory and the draw. And after that, it's just kind of efficiency of D-Brigade, slamming stuff down, having stuff get deleted and play out another one. We have Chikurimon, because again, another great security effect of de-digivolve your opponent and potentially mess up the combo. So it's really cool. So it's kind of like a more aggro version of security control almost. You're kind of just outpacing and out-tempoing your opponent, which gives it that little small niche, which is why we're only really seeing that one top, as far as I'm aware here, only the one D-Brigade top, because it has that little niche, but you got to really pilot it well. And then we have another Gaiomon closing it out. So it's really cool to see so many Gaios after so many people wrote it off, honestly, thinking it won't be fast enough to keep up. After that, we go to Karta Mahika, which took place the same day as the Top Cut tournament. And here we see that they have pretty similar, except we have more MetalGarurumons taking tops at Karta Mahika, and we see even more D-Brigade representation, which is really awesome. It's such an old deck. I believe it's from booster set 4, is able to still compete in here. I think it's 4 or 5 off the top of my head. But either way, we see the first placing MetalGarurumon deck did indeed actually use the red package this time. This was from Jesse Spencer. We have the 2 of Delicate Plan and the 2 of Red Memory Tamer. So it has its niche, because if you're going to run into security control, it will ruin your day, because it is easily one of the worst matchups for Garurumon, because it has no form of protection whatsoever besides battle protection, which security control doesn't care about. So there is a niche to run it there if you expect to run it into that often. After that, we have 2 more MetalGarurumons taking up the entirety of top 3, which is amazing. I'm actually really curious to see how many of them ran the red package after that. Take a quick look here. The 3rd place one was Pure Blue, and we have another Pure Blue again in in second place, and we see they're actually pretty similar in terms of options. We have the one memory blocker in the third with Gaiomon in the third place list, but otherwise pretty similar overall, also including the Ice Wall. This one has some more removal and Kakaitis, which is a really nice security bomb that has come up for me a lot in testing, so I do like that a lot. After that, we got D-Reaper taking fourth place. This was, I believe, the final game that MetalGarurumon that got first had to play. This is a pure build, not running any Starmons again. I'm actually wondering if this is the same person, or they probably share the list because it looks very similar to the other one at the top. So maybe like testing partners, which is really cool. Yeah, we see more Horn Strikers, or at least one more Horn Striker, but similar ratios other than that. So it's a really good deck if you know what you're piloting. After that, we got D-Brigade taking up another top. This one is from Enrique, so that is awesome to see D-Brigade doing well. This one does have the 2 Chumon, which more than one Chumon out in the field becomes very annoying for Alphamon, because then you have to have multiple ways to pop it to gain all your Cool Boy memory and all your GrandisKuwagamon memory, so it's really awesome there. We see the Sword to help flood board even more, and then Digivolve up into either Omnimon X Antibody. We also have the Omnimon Sword, which can also Digivolve into X Antibody, which stops your opponent from being as aggressive because you keep to trash your sources and all that stuff to stop attacks. So this is a really awesome list, really more of an aggressive top end, which you'd like to see, which potentially with the faster Dark Dramon, you know, just hard setting them out, you get a pretty fast Omnimon stuff out on the field. So that's really cool to see D-Brigade having that little niche and doing well into this meta. We got, after that, we have MetalGarurumon X again, Alphamon, and we have a Grandis just barely sneaking into top 8 from Anthony Ball at exactly 8th place, GrandisKuwagamon. So this is, I believe, the first we are seeing of it in the top 16 for this. No, we also had a Grandis over 14th place, Eddie. Congratulations to them. I would be very interested to see how they differ. So here we have the 8th place from Karta Mahika. Pretty standard build. You just want the cheap Digivolutions to be able to go quickly into your X antibody top end, and then you have the actual Grandis itself. Lots of searchers because you just want to see your bodies as much as you can in a color that traditionally doesn't have a lot of search. 4 Mimis is very interesting to me because the idea there is to get a bunch of them out, I'm assuming, and then really aggro with the double Mimi board pressure. So that's really cool. And then we have Electroshocker, which says return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon to its owner's hand, trash all the Digivolution cards of that Digimon, and it activates it in main. So because Alphamon's when attacking effect is, or rather, because Alphamon's unsuspend effect is at the end of attack, this will prioritize and send it back to your opponent's hand before it gets a chance to do that. So in security, this is genuinely very cool. We have the 4 Terriermon to stop any memory blocking shenanigans. That's awesome. And if we look back at the 14th place list, we see 3 Terriermon, still very similar overall build, because we have the Rochemon to quickly hard slam it, I'm assuming because it's a 3-cost champion, so you can just quickly hard slam it if you're bricking. We have 3 Mimis, still a lot. And then we have the Electroshocker as well, but here we have the Lalamon, so you're going to be digibursting away anyways. So very similar with a couple of little tech choices there. That is awesome to see Grandis doing well in top 16. Back to Karta Mahika. After Grandis, we have more D-Brigade, so I definitely want to see if there's any major differences or if they kind of figured D-Brigade out now. Here we have, again, only one Chumon as opposed to the other one. We have this little Kukuamon here because it's another floodgate. All turns, players can't ignore Digivolution requirements. So that's really good to stop your opponent from quickly Digivolving up. After that, we have Cordramon in here. We're sneaking him in there because it's a security Digimon. So it looks like the name of the game here is just to have a bunch of good stuff in your security. And that was just barely at 9th place. After that, we got MetalGaru. We got another Armor Rush making it in, and we have an MetalGarurumon. Gaiomon took 2 spots again, not as high up as last time in Top Cut, but still a lot of representation for Gaiomon, which is awesome to see it doing well. So we're going to take a quick look at the MetalGarurumon list, and this is a pretty good list here. We have the one of Parasaurmon. So that's really interesting because it's a 3-cost to slam champion, so you don't have to worry about reducing the cost like Stingmon. You don't need to have something on the field. You can just hard slam this guy, and while you won't have a really good inheritable like Stingmon does, you are still enabling your DNA Digivolution, which is probably more important than your inheritables. We have the one Leomon. We got the Labramon for that extra gain memory. So overall, this is looking a lot like the end of X2 MetalGarurumon lists. So it's cool to see that still performing well because it is still a really aggressive deck. So if you roll well, and you're gonna get into top 16. So that was Karta Mahika's list. Lots of cool stuff in here. We'll go ahead and move on to Core TCG, which just took place this past weekend. So we still have MetalGarurumon taking up a total of 4 of the top 16. After that, we still have Alphamon coming in second place, putting up a good fight. We have 2 Gaiomons again. So it's really impressive that Gaiomon keeps consistently sneaking into 2 slots in the top 16, making it a very solid tier 1.5 deck that is able to keep up with the other tier 1 decks. And once again, it's really cool to see that we have another D-Brigade making top. D-Reaper still doing well. So we have a really diverse format despite a very prominent powerful decks like Alphamon and MetalGarurumon. Let's go ahead and see the MetalGarurumon list and compare just a couple of them. Let's see if we can actually just pull all of them up and see just how much you need the red package after all compared to running a pure package. first place is going to be a pure package, because the pure package does let you have more aggro. It lets you run the Madoki to be able to counter opposing memory boost, which a lot of decks run for consistency in this format, and you get to have some room for removal, which a lot of decks don't have in this format in Kakaida's Breath. After that, we got the, I believe, 6th place finish here. 6th place also doing very well, and this one actually is very similar to, if you have seen it, to Kyle Kemper's list, which is on YouTube, with the one Analog Youth. Because the logic with Analog Youth, Kyle Kemper said, was it searches stuff that Cool Boy might bottom deck. You don't really care about the stuff trash because your games don't go that long in this format. And if you have a poor stack and it gets deleted in security somehow, you can just tap this and start over again right away. So Analog Youth has some really cool synergy with the deck. Otherwise, pretty standard list. We see 8th place here, still pure, and we're going down to 10th place, which is still a pure list. It looks like the red package did not make top 16 at all this time around a week later. People seem to have realized that you can just dodge the matchup. Security control is just not what it used to be, because a lot of decks can play around it now, and a lot of decks have more protection. So at the very least, in terms of the old destruction and like DP minusing and stuff, it's like just not as effective, and you can't stall as well when every deck can do like 5 checks in a single turn. So it seems to have fallen off a bit. We're not even seeing too much of it topping here. We only see 1 Secon each compared to other decks getting more. So let's go ahead and see the Secon list that did end up topping here. This was the Thunder. This was from Thundar, 11th place. This is purple yellow, so yeah, with a little splash of black, because that D-Digivolve is so powerful in this format, so that makes sense, because you're not really being able to remove stuff as effectively now. You can DP minus a bunch of other stuff, but you kind of have to have like non-targeting, non-destruction removal and Chaos Degradation and an Ultimate Flare, because the only thing that's really going to stop Chaos Degradation is that Congo option in black. So if Alphamon isn't seeing it, they're not going to be able to protect against that. Ultimate Flare will answer it, even if they are able to protect against this. So it makes sense that this is what kind of Secon is topping. But yeah, looks like red package has fallen off in favor of just being more aggressive and having more space for techs in where Garurumon X decks, or MetalGarurumon X decks more appropriately. Alphamon, 2nd place. I'm curious to see if we have anything for like that Ogremon that we saw in the beginning of the video. Not seeing Ogremon here. It seems people have cut it for more consistency options. We have the 2 of Breath of the Gods and only the 1 of Congo. And then we have Tessero, who got 4th place with Lilith Loop. This is Tessero, largely debated to be the absolute best purple player in North America. There is not a single BT9 card in this deck. This is purely X2 Lilith Loop, and that's it. So that is incredible. Not a single one here, because yeah, the strategy, you have the you have Dead or Alive, which brings back your level 5 or lower, your Lucimons, exactly like that. You get to stall out game and go for the deck out with Creepymon. You get to recycle stuff with Junomon and Alphamon and Call Into Darkness to keep your gas up. So yeah, Tessero is just an insanely cracked player that knows how to pilot purple. Like, he knows all the ins and outs of it, and just absolutely player gapped everyone, because this is awesome. Really great list. They have a profile going up on other people's channels soon. I believe Just Another Human Ying is going to be uploading a profile for that, so keep your eyes out peeled for that for whenever they upload it to their channel. But yeah, this is awesome to see Lilith Loop doing this well in BT9, because a lot of people would have written this off because it's such a combo focused deck. You know, you need setup. People are worried to just get OTK'd, but it seems like where Garurumon doesn't have any protection outside of battle protection, so it's kind of just easy to remove their stack while you're setting up, while other decks have to hope to draw into their and Digivolve fast enough into their protection. And if they brick, you kind of just like run away with that, you know. Then we see D-Brigade once again. Let's see how much this has evolved from the past week. If it's more security control focused, if it's more aggro focused, what is the deal here? We have 4 Ultimate Flares. We have 2 Iron Fisted Onslaughts, Memory Boost, Congo, and then we got Death X-Mon. So this is looking pretty similar to all the other lists. You just aggro, and your security is helping you keep up pace. So it's really cool there. 2 Izzy's, 1 Kazu. Awesome standard D-Brigade list. Love it. And then we have a red-yellow hybrid sneaking into top 16 with just barely at 16th place from Aaron. So this one here is okay. So I do believe I played this person in this regional. I believe I lost to this guy in round 2. I was really hoping to just avoid set control, because as you saw, a lot of people just cut their package expecting to do that, to just avoid it. But of course, I got paired into it round 2. Really cool list, great pilot. Definitely knows what he's doing with this list and when to time your fireballs, when to use them for destruction, etc. Interesting list here that lets you aggro and get you tamer advantage. So pretty cool to see this sneaking into top 16, just barely at the 16th place. And then you get to be a more traditional security control here. But that is going to be top 16 from Core TCG, and that's going to be 3 Bandai Online regional tournaments worth of data. MetalGarurumon X seemingly taking over Alphamon in terms of total representation in top 16, but it's basically very clear that Alphamon and where Garurumon X are the 2 best decks in the format, and everything else kind of just trying to keep up. We got a lot of stuff topping like here and there. You know, we got Alphamon, we got Grandis, we got D-Brigade, so it's really cool, diverse format. Everyone trying to compete with the top 2 decks, but I don't think the top 2 decks are that oppressive that it's like undoable for other decks to top and win. And then I just want to shout out Cooper here for the one Grandis. This one is insane because it's 15th place, top 16. We see this is a blue package Grandis. We saw a deck profile on the channel similar to this not too long ago. This guy's got the one of Kunamon because that's his mascot. He loves this boy. We have the Hybrid Air Digivolve over Davis, and then we got Giga Death, the 9-cost option, and sends all stuff to the bottom of the deck. So yeah, very interesting Grandis list that was able to make top 16 here at Core. So that is going to be the list. That is what we could gather from all the data we've seen the past 2 weeks. Let me know what you guys think of this format. I think it's really awesome to see how diverse it is, and personally, I love it because all the combo centricness fires off all the neurons in my brain. Games go by really fast, so you can get more testing in. I love it. BT9 is a really cool format. I'm looking forward to the future of it. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, remember to stay hungry until you get a taste of victory.